Man, this doesn't happen anymore, but I'll tell you, when I first started training dogs, I would work with couples sometimes with dogs that would either get the dogs together or they each had their own dog or whatever it may be. And this is before I was really good at like controlling a room, if you will.
Okay.
Like, this is when I was like, I'm your servant. Like, what are we working on today kind of thing? Let you kind of lead the lesson, whatever.
Yeah.
I had some situations with clients before where they would get in the most heated fucking arguments with each other in the middle of our fucking dog training sessions where I'm just sitting there. I remember one in particular, man. I won't say who the clients are because I still follow them to this day. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
Their dogs are still alive and kicking. They're old as shit, but they're still alive and kicking. And I remember we're in this lesson and the husband like goes out to the car and the wife is like, you've got to talk to him. He's just not fucking doing anything, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. And then like vice versa, it switches. And then like he started like complaining to me about her. Right. Oh, and I'm just kind of like, all right, we'll get there. We'll talk about it when everybody's back together. And then we're like doing something. And at some point the fucking conversation like came up and like the woman was like, she was like, I'm sitting there like working one of the dogs and she's just like, yeah, well, you see how he's doing it right now? Like, you don't ever do that at home. You don't work with the dogs at all, blah, blah, blah.
Damn.
And then the guy was like, I remember the line saying, he's like, well, no, like I did it yesterday. And she's like, do you want a fucking cookie? And then just started going off on this guy.
Oh, man.
And I'm just sitting there like, sit. Yes. Sit. Yes.
Oh, man, that's uncomfortable.
I'm just sitting there and they're just like, man, it was like heated. They're like yelling at each other and shit. I was like, Jesus Christ, guys. And that's happened a million times before in the past, right? But like, dogs are hard, man.
Yeah.
Like, dogs are fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I feel like dogs is the one area. Like, I feel like people don't do this with kids. Like, when people get a kid, like have a kid or have a baby, right? And they bring that baby into the house, I feel like everybody kind of goes into it knowing they don't know anything.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, kid, I don't know. How am I going to keep this thing alive? And you're kind of like figure it out together and stuff. I'm sure there's exceptions to that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like most people I talk to, that's kind of how they are about it.
Yeah.
But with dogs, there's always one party that thinks they fucking know everything about dogs.
There really is.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like people don't approach dogs in the same way of like, holy shit, what do I do with this thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
They just do, yeah, I know what to do.
Yeah.
So it creates fucking contention, man.
I think that especially happens when you're both bringing a dog into it,
Yeah.
So it's like you have done things your way,
Yeah. And you figured out what works for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whether it's, from a dog trainer's standpoint, good, you've figured out what works for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So because of that, you automatically assume because it works for you that it's right. It's the right way to do it. When in actuality, in many cases, it's not,
It just it reminds me, I don't know, it's probably like 30 podcasts, 40, I don't know. But we were talking about some guy like coming at you and you're like, how many dogs have you trained? He was like 10 dogs or something. You're like, trained that in like an hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
You know what it was? It wasn't even like a quote of mine. It was, I remember forever ago, Mark Goldberg used to post his Goldbergisms or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And Mark, obviously, old school dog trainer, been around for fucking ever. And he used to post some hilarious shit.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, like client says, I've trained all my dogs before, but this one just doesn't get it. And then Mark asks, oh, well, how many dogs have you had before? And he's like, 15. And Mark's like, I trained 15 dogs today.
Yeah.
Meaning like our sample size is a lot bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Right? Like 15 is not that many dogs. And that's even a high number. Like how many dogs do most people have in their life? Like 10 tops, right?
Yeah.
If you're older. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's that. Like a lot of people have that mentality of like, I grew up with dogs.
Grew up with them. Yeah. You sure did.
You want a fucking cookie?
You sure did. Yeah. Do you want a fucking cookie? Just the way she said, I can't even begin to do it, but it was the sassiest, like bitchiest tone that I ever heard where I like felt it like a knife, Like I was like, oh God. Like,
this side.
Yeah. Horrible.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah.
He should have just been like, yes, ma'am, after that one.
Yes, I would like a cookie, please.
Yes, I would.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was wild. And I was so fresh in dog training. I think I probably was working for Rob at the time still.
Oh, man, that's early
Yeah.
days.
So I was like real new at this, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do right now.
I don't think anything prepares you for that.
Yeah.
Like,
Worked out fine, though.
Yeah.
We ended the lessons great. They did awesome. Dogs are good still.
And they're good to this day. Huh?
Yeah. Uh-huh.